A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Dear viewers, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, and welcome once again to Why Religion. We bring you this interactive series of program from our MTA Gambia Studios here in the Gambia, in which we talk about the need for religion. We discuss our questions and concerns from our daily life in light of religion, and we discuss a lot of important and interesting topics. As you know, in this season of Why Religion, we are talking about morals, the issues of morality, immorality, what are morals, what are good qualities that should be in our children, and how we can instill them as well. And continuing on to these, I am once again joined by two of my scholars, and I would like to introduce them first of all. On my immediate right, I have Brother Saeed Sambaso, who is serving with the National Amla of Majlis Khudamul Ahmadiyya. Brother Saeed, welcome to the program. And next to him, I have Ustaz Ibrahim Abba, who is serving in MTA International, the Gambia Studios. Ustaz, welcome to the program today. Dear viewers, we have been talking about raising up of our children in light of morals. What are good morals and how can they be instilled in our children? And why is it important for these morals to be instilled in these children? On today's topic, we are talking about moral training of the children itself. And continuing on our previous topics, I would first of all start off with Brother Saeed Sambaso here. Brother Saeed, Assalamu alaikum once again, and let's get into the details of today's program. Now, we have spoken about instilling good morals in our children, and one of them was to teach our children to be patient. And we said the children are these beings that are silent observers. They look at you and observe things, and that's how their training is done at some point. We also agreed that parents play a very important role in this training, as in parents are the very first people that children look up to. Now, there is a habit going on around every now and then, and this has been going on since the beginning of time. The children are giving pocket money on daily basis or weekly or like that. Is it a good thing to give your children money? And again, how does this correspond to the moral training of our children?
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Jazakumullah for this important question. As you said, we are talking about morals and what are the morals that we are supposed to instill in children for their betterment in the future. So as you said, many people raise this issue by saying that children should not be given money at an early age because it will result or something maybe they may be used to it to the extent if they don't get it, it's going to be something else. They may indulge in other things like stealing it to make sure they get it. But that is, perhaps I don't agree with that. Maybe it's a wrong concept, because it is important, as Hazrat Muslim Ma'ud, the second Caliph of Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, highlighted that it is important that you give your children pocket money because it can result to three virtues according to him. He said, first of all, as a result of you giving your child a pocket money, one thing it will instill in that child, the child may end up adopting charitableness. And also, he stated another important thing, that is frugality. When we say frugality, this in a simple terms means the child will be able to economically manage resources, and most importantly, that of money, for instance. And the child will not be somebody who wastes things, the like of food and money and any other property. So in essence, frugality means the child's ability to manage property or resources. And also the other thing he mentioned that will benefit the child as a result of you giving the child money, he said the child will end up adopting these beautiful characteristics, that is helping the relatives. He gave an example. For instance, you give a child 3 coins, and not only stopping from giving the child 3 coins, but also you have to tell the child the reason why you give that 3 coins. So he said, for instance, ask the child, take this 1 coin and use it to buy some eatable food. And the other, you can ask the child to use it to buy a toy to play with, and the other one, you can ask the child to give it out as a charity to help others. So you see, you have divided these 3 coins to a very important things. First, use it to eat, 1. The other one, use it to buy something that you can play with, like toy, and the other one, take it and give it to other people. So you see, again, we are coming back to the child being able to remember and adopt that beautiful moral training that is to be charitable and to be used to helping people. So in that sense, you can see the child will not be used to wastage. The child will avoid wasting, because if you use it for food, that is something no waste. And if you use it to buy as a child for toy to play with, that is also something going to help the child in his or her physically or mentally stableness. And the other thing is about charity. That will also be very important. So in essence, these are the 3 virtues that our beloved Caliph Hazrat Musleh Maud radiallahu anhu highlighted on the importance of, as a parent, giving money to children.
Jazakumullah. Now, Ustaz Ibrahim, looking at his answer, he has mentioned that Hazur has given an example that you can give 3 coins to your children, and one could be used for buying a toy, the other could be used for getting something to eat, and lastly, the third one should be for them to give out as charity. So you're instilling 3 different virtues in them. That is taking care of themselves to have that enjoyable moment with food, and then again buy a toy that they can play with, because these are children, right? And now coming to that issue of having toys and other things. Now, in homes, there are common properties that children have. There are shared properties, we would call it. Children fight over these sometimes, and there are some times when children love to share these properties that they have. What is your say on this? Should a child own a common property?
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. I think that is a very important aspect of bringing up of children morally, because you would see that all the time what we complain about, maybe if you watch the news or you watch maybe documentaries and those sort of things, people always tend to try to portray our governments and institutions as corrupt and the like. But all that starts from the home. Everything that spoils on our streets, in our institutions, it must have started from somebody's home. So therefore, if you want to correct that, we would have to go back to the homes and make the corrections in the homes before we go out to the streets. Now, when you give children a common property, you are teaching them, first of all, to share. Brother Said Sambaso has made mention of that. You are teaching them to share, own a common property that all of them would be using, at the same time would be protecting. This is where it gets more interesting. You can share the same thing, but if all of you look at it, the eyes that it is not mine, then you don't care whether it spoils or not. You can misuse it anyhow. But if everyone think that this is my property, you know, you wouldn't want to see anybody else playing with that in a way that will spoil it. You wouldn't want to see anyone misusing that. Now, coming back to what Brother Sambaso have said, you know, if you give children, for example, some pocket money, you would see that those children would kind of sort of gain some respect and admiration even within their own peers. Like if you see children, like if you watch children those who have toys and have a lot of stuff with them, they tend to gain even upper hand over those they play with who doesn't have that. Right. So that is very important for children to give their kids, first of all, pocket monies. And then from that stage and to the second stage, that is making them understand that you can have a thing that you owned, you know, that you can say it is written on your name. But you can as well own a thing that is shared with 3 or 4 other people. And that thing it is your responsibility to protect it as you protect those 3 coins that maybe Brother Sambaso was talking about you were given. The way you respect and protect those 3 coins that you were given that is personally yours, and the common property that you are given should all be the same. Because if there is a difference in protecting these, then the child is going to grow up to be a wasteful person and will not respect the property of the Jamaat and will not respect the property of any other institution that he or she is made to work in.
Right. So most importantly, the message that we get from this whole conversation so far is that children need to learn at a very early age to respect other people's opinions, as in respecting or sharing a property with others. That is where, like you have mentioned, if they do not care about that property and just let it go like, oh, it's not my business, then no one would care about the property and eventually it spoils. But again, if they do not care about each other's opinion as well, then they would not be able to share these things. Now, Brother Said, we've just spoken about children being morally educated by sharing properties and by being given pocket money. Now, what characteristics actually make us know that a child has been morally educated?
Sakumla, thank you very much. Once again, we will go back to Hazrat Muslim Maud because I enjoy his statements on this regard. He have talked about a lot regarding this. He said the one thing that we can realize or notice that our children has adopted morality is first, it should be moral itself and be able to make others moral. They themselves should have that moral condition. And not only stopping from having moral condition, but also to reflect, and others should also be attracted, and through them should also gain moral. This time we realize that our children has adopted that the moral that we were trying to instill in them at their early age. And also he said another thing which says it should be able to behave as required by the most of the community Jamaat. For instance, Ahmad Muslim Jamaat. If a child is there and is behaving as the Khulafa are telling them to behave, or as our parents are expecting us to behave, or them to behave, then there we can realize that they adopt that morality. It should not be like they say, oh, you say you are an Ahmadi, or you say your father is an ustaz or teacher, he's teaching you good moral, but you are not behaving well. Wherever you go to, people start labeling you, you are not having good moral. So if we see that, then we should realize that those children that we were trying to train at an early age, they do not adopt it. But we should hide it from other people. We should hide it from the Jamaat members, the general public, that our children are behaving as required, as the Jamaat require. And the other thing, it should have a genuine love for God. And this love should range supreme over other kinds of love. This should have a genuine love for God Almighty Allah. And that's the only time we can able to know that indeed our objective that we are trying to achieve has been achieved. And this love, they should not only have a love for God, but their love should be so, so out, or people should see this, it should reflect to the extent that the love that they have for God should be supreme over all other love. That's why the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that unless and until a person loves him more than his father or mother, then that person still now his spirituality is very low. And you cannot maybe say that that person loved me well. And the same thing, so how about the one who created us? The one who created that man, who is saying we must love him more than our parents. Automatically, we must love God to that extent. So their love for God should be to that extent where we will know that their love is above any other love. These are the things that he mentioned, that these are the time that we can able to have hope that indeed our children has adopted the morals that we are trying to instill in them.
Mm-hmm. So, Ustaz Ibrahim, do you want to add anything onto that?
Yes, I would want to add something onto that. You know, it is like lighting up a candle. You know, once you light up a candle, the light will, you cannot stop it from reaching the maximum stage that it should occupy. When that happens, everyone else will see it, but it depends on how the person who lights the candle and what kind of a candle it is. You see, this is not like only a matter of give. This is like give and take. You know, there is like a person who is delivering, and then the recipient, how much of that light that person can receive. You know, when we talk about this these moral qualities exhibiting in children, we are not only pointing fingers to the parents, the children as well, who are receptive, who should be the recipients of what they are being given. They also has maybe the capacity that they can take. You know, that also depends on maybe how or where you have started the training from. Is it before birth? Is it after birth? Is it when the child have started exhibiting bad moral qualities? You know, all that taken into consideration, that determines how much of good morals that this child would be able to exhibit. Like for example, the second Khalifa radiallahu ta'ala anhu has given us the highest point, and that is this child should be a person who loves God above everyone else. You know, that's the highest standard you can go, because God is the ultimate being, and everything else we do, if it is for his sake, then we are climbing up the ladder. But it depends, you know, how the child has been brought up, and how has the bringing up of this child, where it started and how it went through, and the successes and failures all will matter, because that is what will determine how much the child itself can exhibit for others to see.
Right. Again, now, Ustaz, how do we determine whether these children that are being morally trained, they actually size up to the right standards, you know, in these characteristics that are found in them, just as Brother Saeed has mentioned?
Yeah, it comes back to the same thing. It is what the child itself will exhibit. Like, for example, you have been teaching your child, the two examples we have shown here, you have given them pocket money, you have given them a property that they should share with others. Now, how would you know that they have adopted that and it has become part of their spirit and being? It is when you see that maybe they have grown up to an age where they can buy themselves their own property, and that depends on how they protect that property. Or even if they are given property, that depends on how they will protect that property without you, the father, even trying to intervene and tell them this and this and this is what you need to do. Now, when you see that the child has understood that this is their property and they must protect it, but how about the shared property? Have they also grown to understand, or have they adopted the good moral qualities that they were being taught from that early age to protect a common property? Like, for example, bro, if you go to our streets, you see people sweeping and throwing every rubbish on the street, and all our gutters are full. This is all because people think it is not their property. But when you look for it, you will know for certain that it is their property, because it's their money that is going there. It's their tax, the tax they pay that is being used to dug all these gutters and, you know, pave our streets and make everywhere beautiful. And if they cannot protect that, it means there was a default somewhere when they were being brought up. They were brought up to understand at home that everything that does not personally belong to you, you don't have to care. Now, when you see children with that kind of attitude, they care about everything. You know, they do not throw rubbish on our streets. They take everything, like government institutions, they take everything to be like their own. Then you will understand that, yes, what this person was taught from that early childhood, they are trying to exhibit that. And again, the Khalifa has said that it also has to do with our religion. If the child is has grown up to understand that they should obey the Sharia of Islam, the law of God that he has given to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then you see as well, their behavior with regards to religion, then you will understand that that also has been embedded in the children. Now, these are two things that go side by side, whether it is about the world, like personal property and the like, or property of the Jamaat, or everything that is related to religion. All that put together will make you understand as a parent whether your child have understand and taken up the good moral qualities that was being taught to them from an early age.
Jazakumullah Ustaz, that does make a lot of sense. Now, Brother Said, following up onto that as well, as we know our program is linked change, right? So following up onto that question, we understand that despite having morals in them and parents instilling really good morals and training these children are prone to making mistakes, generally. Now, how do you train kids on admitting their mistakes?
Jazakumullah, thank you very much. Again, the Holy Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam has told parents to be very straightforward. And then not only him, that even the Holy Quran has always emphasized this. And this is why Hazrat Muslim Maud once again, because the reason why we are in fact always repeating his statement, he have highlighted on this in a very lengthy manner. And in fact, he himself has demonstrated this. I just want to narrate this before coming to all this thing. There was a time when he was very young, and a friend of his came to visit him. He met Masih Maud al-Islam, that is his father, the founder of Ahmad Muslim Jamaat. He asked, where is Basiruddin Mahmud Ahmad? And the father asked him to go to the mosque. He will be there. The friend went. The friend searched the mosque, could not see Muslim Maud. So the friend went back and told the father that I could not see him there. The father told him, no, he must be there. I know my son. He is always in the mosque. Go back, you will find him there. And he went back, he eventually found him at the corner. So that shows that Masih Maud al-Islam trained his child by the grace of Allah the Almighty, and he know exactly whether his child has adopted the good moral that he taught him. The child was used to mosque. He adopted that love for God at an early age, to the extent that he was 100% sure that the child cannot be in any other place apart from the mosque. Yeah. So as for mistake, like the first thing, it should be from the parents themselves. As Ustaz said, not only from the parents, the child also have to be involved, but the parents is the focal point here. He said that a parent should not try to hide a mistake that he commits, because we have said it very early, that the child is always observing the parents. Whatever they do, that's what they try to copy. So if they see that you are trying to hide your mistake, you are not ready to admit your mistake, then they will say that this is not a problem. I can also try to hide my mistake so that people don't know it. But if they see that you are straightforward, whenever you commit a mistake, even despite having a conversation or having an issue with a child, and you are on the wrong side, and you admit in front of the child, they will be amazed. And that's what they are going to copy. So the first and foremost thing that you have to do to make sure that you allow the child, or you help the child in admitting his or her mistake, it is you yourself as the parent that will admit your mistake in front of the child. Mm-hmm. And they will eventually adopt it. And the other thing he's saying that if a child commits a mistake, we know that human being is weak. Even the elders themselves, they are prone to mistakes. Much more the children themselves, who are not much matured. So if they commit a mistake, you should not be so harsh to them. Mm-hmm. You should not be insulting them, shouting upon them, beating them. Why do you commit this mistake? Like somebody who is perfect. So if they see that, eventually they will develop that hatred towards you. They should look at him. Am I the only one who could do mistake? Whenever I do mistake, he beat me. And eventually they, in fact, if you are trying to teach them something, they will get so scared to the extent that they will not able to understand what you are teaching them, because that is already in them. If I cause a mistake, this is what he's going to do. He's going to deal with me. So don't be harsh on them. Try to correct them in a very lenient manner. So these are very important things.
Jazakumullah, Brother Saeed, you're definitely right. The parents, first of all, need to be able to accept their mistakes in front of their children, so the children can learn from them. And this gives the children confidence that accepting my mistake is the right thing to do. Ustaz Ibrahim, we see in a lot of communities where parents appreciate their children when the children accept their mistakes, and they don't just go ahead with beating up the kids instantly. You know, they call the kids toward themselves, admonish them, tell them, oh, what you did was wrong, next time do this, avoid this, and so. What would you say about this?
I would say that's the right approach for the children. You know, the Masih Maud alayhi salatu wasalam has strongly condemned dealing with children in a certain way. And he called it even sinful, because he said, you as the parent know that you are not perfect. You are certainly sure you are not perfect. So how do you expect perfection from your children? You know, that's why he condemned, he saw someone who was dealing with their children very harshly, and he summoned that person in his presence, and he was very hard on him. He spoke very harshly to that person. And he ordered that children should be dealt with kindly, and most importantly as well, parents should pray for their children. Right. There is nothing you can achieve with regards to the moral training of your children without praying for them. And he said that that part is mostly omitted by parents. You know, even our second Khalifa used to tell his children, his female daughters, his daughters, to pray for their children. And some of them will tell him, but we have not had children yet. He said, yes, but you have to pray for them even before you have them. Therefore, the thing always starts, you know, before even you have the child. If you have been doing the prayers and you have been doing the practice of the Prophet ﷺ even before you have the children, you have less trouble when you have them. But I would like just to quote what the second Khalifa said about the Ahmadi children. He said, he saw a vision. He said, I found myself delivering the Friday sermon and saying that we must take good care of the health of our children, for the burden we carry will increase 1,000-fold when their turn comes to carry it. So, you know, this is very important, because, you know, when he was saying that was perhaps 100 years ago or close to that. And today we have seen that the burden that they carried has increased 1,000-fold in our own time. So therefore, for our older generations to come to be able to carry that, you know, that responsibility that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put on the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, we also must take care of their health, as well as we must pray for them to be able to fulfill the promises that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat.
Jazakumullah, Ustaz. There are a lot of advices in what you've just mentioned, and thank you very much, Brother Saeed, and thank you very much, Ustaz, as well, for joining me today, for clearing these questions that I had. I'm sure my viewers out there must have learned a lot from today's programs. And dear viewers, this brings us to the end of program today. Remember, you can read more about us, Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, on our official website, that is www.alislam.org. And if you wish to read specifically on this very topic, you can find the book The Ways of the Seeker on the same website, www.alislam.org. Until we come your way again, from my team here, I say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.